Good evening, friends of the University of North Carolina, Asheville, and welcome to what has become an annual coming together of boards and councils, current and past, to celebrate and honor each other's selfless devotion to this university. As Chancellor, I am humbled to follow in a distinguished line of chancellors, and I'm honored to work with such talented and committed boards and councils. Coming together in this way is an idea first proposed by Luther Barnhart while Jim Mullen was chancellor, and we aim to share the promise of this university across generations of leadership and service in just the way that Luther and Jim imagined. Additionally, this evening, later on in the program, we will have the honor of unveiling Tucker Cook's portrait of Chancellor Mullen. As I look among you this evening, I am witness to the continuum of university leadership and exceptional service to our university, our community, and our state. Without any doubt, one of the guests I am most delighted to welcome is Aline Highsmith, who, with her husband, the first chancellor, William E. Highsmith, were visionary stewards of this college, then this university, from 1962 to 1984. Aline Highsmith. We are deeply honored that you, Aline, have joined us here tonight, and we want you to know that along with Aline are two succeeding generations of the Highsmith family, John and Sandra. Please stand, and your grandchildren, Becky and Mark. I am also grateful for the opportunity to introduce all the living former chancellors of our university who have gathered for this evening. Would each of you stand and remain standing so that we can recognize you with our appreciation all at once after we have introduced each of you. Number 2, David Brown, chancellor from 1984 to 1990, and his wife Lynn. Samuel Schuman, chancellor from 1991-1993, and his wife Nancy. Patsy Reed, chancellor from 1994 to 1999. And James Mullen, Jr., chancellor from 1999 to 2005, and his wife Mary. Now, riotous applause. The University of North Carolina Board of Governors has enjoyed strong representation from Asheville and Western North Carolina. Tonight, we welcome several governors to our celebration. And would each of you please stand as I introduce you? Ed Broadwell. Philip Carson, joined by his wife Ruth. Dr. Adelaide Daniels Key, joined by her guest Maggie Smith. I saw David here. David Young. David Young. Members of the university's staff and distinguished faculty are with us this evening, and having so many UNC Asheville students among us is a special and typically UNC Asheville treat. Students joining us this evening are from two student organizations, Bos Canis our new Student Alumni Association, and the Senior Class Board, a group that provides organization and leadership for the many senior class experiences, as well as the annual Senior Class Gift. If you are a current student at the University of North Carolina at Asheville, please stand and allow us to recognize you. And now, accompanied by the music of David Bates, please enjoy your dinner. Afterwards, we will unveil Jim Mullen's portrait and then enjoy a stimulating panel discussion with UNC Asheville's chancellors about our university and its place in American public higher education. Welcome.
Board of Trustees commissions a portrait of each chancellor upon completion of their active service to the university. When they learned of Jim Mullen's departure, the trustees engaged the exceptional talent of Tucker Cook, artist and art professor, to render Jim's portrait as he had earlier painted Patsy Reed's portrait. Professor Cook's contributions to our university and to the students who have studied here are as robust and exceptional as the artist, teacher, and mentor himself. Portraits of the chancellors, beginning with Chancellor Highsmith, hang in the Red Oak Room of Ramsey Library. Tonight, we add to that tradition. I would like to invite Rob Cranford and Sue McClinton to the platform to present Jim Mullen's portrait. Rob and Sue served as chairs of the UNC Asheville Board of Trustees during the tenure of Jim Mullen. George Groom and Charles Tolley also chairs during Jim's chancellorship. Send regrets they are unable to join us tonight. Sue and Rob, thank you for your commitment to the university.
Thanks, Bob. Take it away, Sue. Can I use your book?
Yeah. Okay, I got to get to the right page, folks. I'm sorry. Phil Carson said it best tonight. He said, this is really a neat party and all the right people are here. So, Phil, you hit the nail on the head there. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. I'm seeing a lot of people I didn't see earlier. This is great. Jim and Mary, would you like to join us up here, please?
Don't cry. Is it me?
Okay, it's you.
Okay. Before I read from the script, it's so great to be back here again after so many years and see a lot of faces and people and hug Patsy and everyone, but excuse me, I'll get back to the script. You know, our friend Jim Mullen served as 5th Chancellor of UNC Asheville from July 1999 to May of 2005. Jim left a legacy of solid achievement to the university. During Jim's tenure, UNC Asheville's national prominence soared in the national rankings. Notable university initiatives begun during Chancellor Mullen's 6 years were the Integrative Liberal Arts Curriculum, the Pisgah Astronomical Research, Science, and Education Center. I'm glad I didn't have another glass of wine on that one. The National Environmental Modeling and Analysis Center.
We couldn't tell them.
The Craft Campus, and the North Carolina Center for Health and Wellness.
We all know that Jim Mullen valued family, and he valued family personally, and he even considered our students, our faculty, and our staff, our family. It became the major concern around here. His wife, Mary, was a steadfast supporter. She even held the family Bible at his installation, and she was by his side even when the Bulldogs were in the AA tournament, which we will still be proud of forever and ever. The Mullen children, Frankie and James, a little bit taller now, but we saw a lot of very colorful toys around Curry Courtyard, and we often saw you in the corner of the Chancellor's office, drawing and writing, practicing your letters on paper over there at a desk. So we miss all that. We valued all that. It was very special. I'll never forget when you first arrived, there was an ice cream social. I'm off the script, Bill, sorry. And I remember Beverly Modlin telling me that Jim was supposed to, your dad was supposed to serve you ice cream, and you looked up at him, and you were, what, 4?
He was 3. Or
3?
He was 1.5, she was 3.
Yeah, you were 3 at the time, and you said, Daddy, I can do it myself.
Nothing has changed.
She's her mother's daughter.
Yeah, right.
The campus community knew Jim Mullen to be a fun-loving and adventurous as well as polished and stately. Boy, could we tell some stories. He was equally at home learning about a student's undergraduate research project and standing before the North Carolina General Assembly urging legislators to support our university. Perhaps Jim's most valued legacy was his strong personal relationship with the students, in whom he vested his confidence, trust, and hope for the future. Jim always demonstrated an intense personal interest in all students, attending organizational meetings, regularly joining students for lunch in the dining hall, playing a game of tag football under the maples on the quad, or visiting students, or inviting students into his home when the campus had to close for a hurricane.
Jim, it was a privilege to work with you and Mary. It was a privilege to serve moments of joy with you, and it was a privilege to serve some challenging times with you. And a biblical quote from the book of Numbers that I'd like to read that expresses our hope for both of you. May God infuse you with his grace so that you may find favor in his sight and in the hearts of all those whom you encounter, thereby empowering you to realize his will in your life in this world. I'd like to now invite Tucker Cook to join us up at the podium. Tucker, thank you so much for being here tonight and for joining us. Jim, the trustees of UNC Asheville are honored to add your official portrait to those of Chancellor Highsmith, Schulman, Reed, and Brown. We are deeply moved that S. Tucker Cook, our very own, undertook this commission. And Tucker, Jim, and Mary, could we get you all to remove the covering, please? We haven't seen this, so we're real excited.
Jim and Mary. Thank you so much for giving us this glorious opportunity to thank you and to admire your work. Thank you, Tucker. Thank you for the opportunity to admire your work, Jim, for this university and throughout our community, and to reflect on the legacy of leadership that our university has enjoyed from its founding in 1932 with its first president, A.C. Reynolds, and through William E. Highsmith as its first and longest-serving chancellor. And now it is that we have the opportunity to recognize the fifth chancellor with his portrait. I am honored to invite you to the podium for your remarks.
Thank you, Chancellor. And to all my colleague chancellors who are here this evening, to Sam, to David, to Patsy, in a special way, I'd like to acknowledge you, Mrs. Highsmith, because you yourself and the extraordinary legacy of Dr. Highsmith represent the shoulders on which we all stand. So, Mrs. Highsmith, thank you for being you. Ladies and gentlemen, I promised Bill I would be brief. I will simply say to all the trustees who are here this evening, to all the members of the Foundation Board, to all the alumni who honor us by carrying forward the mission of this college into the world, in a particular way to those students who were here when I had the privilege of being chancellor, I say thank you. To Tucker, you know, we always said, and we always knew, that Tucker Cook is the greatest artist in the United States. And anyone who can make me look that good has to be the greatest artist in the United States. I thank you all. It is a privilege that I carry with me every day, as I know my colleague chancellors do, that I was able to share a part of the great journey of this university with each and every one of you. I see so many, Wayne and Tom and Bill, thank you for what you did to put this event together, who were part of that journey with me. All of you were part of it. And it's the greatest honor one could ever ask for, to have the opportunity to look young women and men in the eye and invite them to achieve their full potential. You gave me that chance here at the University of North Carolina at Asheville. You invited Mary and Frankie and James and me into your community. You invited me and my family into your lives, and for that, we will always be appreciative. You are family to us. Asheville is home to us. And I will simply conclude by saying, and I think I told this story once before, whenever I think of Asheville, I think of St. Andrews in 1960, when the great Bobby Jones was invited back and was made a citizen, an honorary citizen of St. Andrews, Scotland, on the anniversary of his British Open victory. And Bobby Jones said, if they took every chapter of my life, but that which was written at St. Andrews, I would have enjoyed the most full and rewarding and rich life. Ladies and gentlemen, if they take every chapter of our lives, but that we had the privilege to enjoy with each and every one of you, we will have had the most powerful, the most rich, and the most enjoyable life. Thank you all.
And now we will take just a moment to prepare for the next part of our program. I hope you'll continue to enjoy each other's company and dessert. We will see you again in just a few minutes. I'd like to invite you and welcome you to the UNC Asheville campus, and let me introduce to you once again some familiar and appreciated friends and leaders. David Brown, Chancellor from 1984 to 1990, Sam Schuman, Chancellor from 1991 to 1993, Patsy Reed, Chancellor from 1994 to 1999, and the person whose portrait you have just received and celebrated, Jim Mullen, Chancellor from 1999 to 2005, our former chancellors. It is a high honor for me to follow in the tradition of leadership, wisdom, vision, commitment, and humor embraced and practiced by each of our university chancellors. And being chancellor at UNC Asheville takes all of that and more. During our years of service to the university and to the state of North Carolina, each of us has borne the title chancellor. We've been called upon to respond to opportunities and to deal with threats, to understand cultural shifts and accommodate for trends. Leadership rewards and challenges and the urge to change simultaneously with the charge to remain true to our mission. It has been an honor for each of us to work with a deeply committed and intelligent faculty and staff, and our privilege to be uplifted and encouraged and counseled by enlightened trustees, directors, and council members. Tonight, in this unprecedented coming together of UNC Asheville chancellors, I believe we have a unique opportunity to share our various perspectives on this, our university, and its place in American higher education. Let's begin our conversation with brief opening remarks by each member of the panel, organized this evening by seniority of service. Dave Brown.
Do you want to go over to the final, or do you want me to stay seated?
Come right here.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Chancellor Ann. You are the real chancellor because you're in charge. Let's see, am I on two mics here? Why don't I stand over here and I won't be next to the two mics.
Okay.
I want to recognize the fact that at least three of the students who were students when I was here, Neil and Athena and Kevin, are here in the audience. I suspect Kenny is here also. So that's a delight. It's good to know that students stay connected to the university. I have to say, Ann, that these were perhaps the most gratifying and challenging years of my life. They were gratifying because of this faculty, which is a faculty that spends one-on-one time with students, and it's a faculty that challenges students every day. It was a challenging job because the faculty spend one-on-one time with the chancellor and challenge the chancellor every day. You asked how UNCA fits into the national picture, and I'd just like to reflect on four things that happened while I was here. At least we started them. First of all, UNCA founded for the nation the public liberal arts college movement. We had the first conference here. We decided who the public liberal arts colleges were, and now there are 25 public liberal arts colleges nationally. And I think the most important thing about that is that students who graduate from a public liberal arts college think that their college is a hell of a lot better than the flagship university of those states, and they go out with greater self-confidence. Secondly, we founded the National Conference on Undergraduate Research, and that has subsequently gone to places that are pretty well-known, places like Carleton College and MIT, and of course it comes back here every 10 years because in the founding we put that into the charter. Thirdly, we founded the National Advisory Council that got us associated with the Association of American Colleges, and we became the place in the nation that ran a workshop every summer on the core course, the interdisciplinary core course, the Asheville Institute. And of course, that's something that I really owe to my predecessor, Bill Highsmith, for putting in that curriculum, because there's no way that you could put it in today. And then finally, we mentioned one of Jim's accomplishments, bringing health and wellness to campus and the center. That was the fourth thing that we specially invested in, and it really didn't have its heyday until now, and now it's the fastest growing major. So we founded all those things, and that's our place in higher education. I will tell one other very brief story. When we were doing our strategic planning, we had, Kevin may remember this, we had a 20 by 20 piece of brown paper on the floor of the Highsmith Center, and it was a map of the campus, and anybody in the community, any student, any faculty member, could go and draw on this map anything they wanted to. Well, right where your chancellor's residence is to be constructed, there was an enormous marijuana patch drawn. And so we hope that you will garden in a different way.
It's hard to follow. Although I suppose I could think of something that would make it easier from the garden. Chancellor Ponder wanted me to make sure I began my comments with an appropriate Shakespearean quotation. Since, as some of you know, I'm actually back working at UNCA on an interim basis this year in academic affairs, so I thought first of the stirring battle cry of Henry V, "Once more onto the breach, dear friends, once more." On the other hand, it also has crossed my mind once or twice in the past few months that an equally appropriate autobiographical citation might come from Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream. "Shall we these fond pageants see? Lord, what fools these mortals be." I come here tonight with two idiosyncrasies. The first is that, in fact, I am back working here in Phillips Hall after an interim of a dozen years as chancellor of a sister public liberal arts college in Minnesota. The second, of course, is that mine was by a healthy margin the most cataclysmically short term as chancellor here in our past history and hopefully in the infinite future too. I want to take a few moments to pay my admiring respects to all these chancellors here, and especially to my two predecessors. Bill Highsmith invented UNCA as a public liberal arts college. Dave Brown made that invention a reality. I stand in awe of their achievements. Chancellors Reed and Mullen brought us to maturity and secured our position at the center of the consciousness of our wonderful and dynamic region. And spectacular as those four have been, I also want to say that it's my conviction that Ann will be the best of the lot. UNCA has changed enormously and mostly for the better since I first knew the place in the 1970s and since I worked here in the early 1990s. Physically, our campus, which once looked rather like a forlorn VA hospital on a hill, is now beautiful in both buildings and grounds. Programmatically, we now do many more things for many more people. Two characteristics, though, have not changed, and I hope they never will. First is our founding mission to provide an uncompromisingly excellent undergraduate liberal arts education to fine students from North Carolina and from around the world. Second is the single greatest attribute we bring to that mission, a faculty of gifted teachers, serious scholars, and dedicated mentors. I'm a little surprised to find myself up on this stage tonight, I admit, but in my unswerving affection for this place and admiration for its leaders, I'm deeply honored. Thank you.
Well, I would say to you that it's a joy to be home. That I've been gone now for 8 years almost, but a part of my heart has never left this campus, this city, and this state. As I flew into Charlotte last night to change planes, and then sat in the runway for an hour waiting to get off in the rainstorm, I was thinking about what it means to be back in Carolina. And as I walked through the airport and saw the rocking chairs there, I thought of the grace and beauty that is this part of the world, and it is truly a joy to be back here. Catch some of you up with what I'm doing now, and I've been asked that many times. I live in Sedona, Arizona. I have an unstructured, unscheduled life that comes if you're good boys and girls and get to retire. I did lose my husband about a year ago, and many of you remember DeWitt. He loved this area too. I have to tell you too that I have gone into a life where my idea of getting dressed up is wearing my best jeans. So my life is quite different. But as I think back on the years I was here, and I didn't know we were going to talk about our accomplishments. I should have started about 10 years ago on mine, I think. No, I can think of two things that I feel very, very good about, and there are many things. But one of them is the master plan that so many of us in this room worked on. It was one that involved faculty, students, staff, administrators, trustees, townspeople. And we really worked hard on it and ended up with a good plan. Now, from time to time, I have thought that one reason we were able to agree on so many things is that no one thought we'd ever get the money. But sure enough, we had a good master plan when the money came along. And we were quoted, as there is a quote about, and I've forgotten who said it now, that UNCA had the exemplary master plan. And as I look at your website and at the campus and see the buildings that are here now, I'm so proud of all of us because that's the thing that let us get going on it. And another thing that I'm proud of, and this I passed on to Jim, is that we did all of the groundwork for a capital campaign. And so that meant that this man was obligated when he got here to advance the funding for the university. And that, of course, has done much to enrich our lives, the lives of our students, and this campus. So it's good to be home.
No one should have to listen to me twice in one night. It is a privilege. I do want to say one word about Chancellor Ponder. No one has been more gracious to her predecessor than Chancellor Ponder has been to me. And I want to say thank you for that publicly. And to my colleagues behind me, no one ever offered a stronger institution that one had the privilege to inherit than did my predecessors. And no predecessors were ever more gracious or kind with their wise counsel when asked. So I want to thank each and every one of them tonight. I did notice one thing, Chancellor Brown. I took a walk right before I left campus, and that marijuana patch is still there. Again, I will be brief. I think that I was indeed lucky, because I inherited an institution that was very strong and very vibrant. And the cornerstone of that institution are the faculty, many of whom are here this evening, who were and remain the most extraordinary scholar teachers that any institution could ever hope for. And the groundwork that was done by these wonderful predecessors and their colleague faculty to create an undergraduate research program second to none in the nation to create an environment of teaching and learning that defines the liberal arts was really a privilege to be part of when I arrived. I also had the privilege then to go out into this community. And the greatest lesson that I learned as the chancellor of this institution is what a powerful difference a university can make when it reaches out and accepts the embrace of its community. So many of you in this room did not attend the University of North Carolina at Asheville, but every one of you in this room gave a part of your life to this university and continue to do so. And that's the lesson, I think, that I carried away, that we're trying now to do in Massachusetts as well, that we have that obligation to our students and to our community to reach out. And all those many initiatives, those many partnerships that we tried to create, Wayne McDevitt and I spent a lot of evenings in Raleigh and across this state trying to secure support for those programs. All of those were done to be consistent with a mission of teaching and learning and to be consistent with an ethic on this campus that the faculty embraced and created from day one to encourage the students of this campus in the best of the liberal arts tradition to reach out into the world around them and be tremendous citizens. And that's what the liberal arts is all about. And if there's anything that all of us can be proud of in this room, it's the difference that those students make every day. So thank you.
The next question, the first for the panel, beyond their initial remarks. I'd like for each of us to tell us something that was true when you were a chancellor, or that you learned when you were chancellor, that matters for us, our boards, our leaders, our students, our faculty and staff, that matters to us today and in the future. Something from the past for the present and the future.
Well, I would comment that I think what I learned is the commitment of those people over 50 to this university. And I'm talking about the long-term residents, and I'm talking about the retirees who come to this community. These are people who came into that freshman core course often and would ask the professors very challenging questions and would, I think, stimulate the students. So I think that one of the things I learned is that you can still be a relevant learner and an inspiring intellectual even after 50.
Thank you.
I guess I would say that one thing that certainly became far clearer to me during my time at UNCA, and that I think is still a relevant lesson for us today, is the value of building and maintaining a strong shared sense of institutional mission. So many of our larger university colleagues these days seem to be going in every direction all the time. And I think one of the things that's defined UNCA since its creation and continues to define it today and to make it the strong institution that it is that shared sense that we're all trying to do the same thing, which is, as we've all said, and you all have said, undergraduate liberal arts education. I think having that sense of shared mission is just incredibly powerful.
Thank you.
Well, I would add to that the importance of telling our story. Because of that shared mission and because of the dedication that we have in faculty, administration, staff, and the boards that help us so much, we are able to tell a unique story. And that when others hear that, whether it's other institutions, whether it's decision makers, people who are helping with funding, but whoever they are, when they hear that story, they can't help but be impressed and supportive. And so I think that one of the things that I learned was the importance of the joint voices in talking about NAU and letting others know, I'm sorry, that was one institution too far back, and talking about UNCA and letting others know about the beauty of this place.
I think what I was struck by early after I arrived was the power of the public liberal arts institution. I come from a part of the country where there are many liberal arts institutions. They're all private. And there is a special obligation that comes with being a liberal arts college that is public, and to offer a liberal arts education to students that is really second to none through the public sector. So many of our students did not have all the opportunities in life that some of those students that go to the private liberal arts colleges had. And again, I think that I was struck every day by their enormous potential and the obligation we had to them as students coming into this public system, and that we were really the institution nationally that set the standard against which every other public university looked, and that's a tremendous responsibility.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit more about that responsibility in terms of the liberal arts. The liberal arts are central to the mission of our university. We are confident that students educated in the liberal arts tradition, updated appropriately in the way we do it, are best prepared for the uncertain and changing world before us. Yet the term liberal arts seems to many people vague and uncertain. Would each of you equip us just a little better to talk about the liberal arts by sharing a brief definition or understanding of the term or an example of where you see it practiced beautifully?
Well, I'll lead off. Now I know why you wanted me in this chair. I think a liberally educated individual is an individual who can listen to anybody on any subject and understand what that person is trying to say and have the capacity to make a judgment and possibly take an action on what that liberally educated person understands.
Thank you.
I suspect one of the challenges that all of us have had to face many times is, in fact, trying to define a very complex and challenging concept like the liberal arts in 2 or 3 sentences, often to audiences unlike this one that don't have the foggiest idea what we're talking about. I always used to start off by saying the liberal arts don't make you a liberal necessarily. And you could see, I think the liberal arts are those arts which liberate the minds of people. The skill of becoming your own best lifelong teacher. I think a liberally educated person is a woman or man who can analyze a problem in almost any field. I certainly agree with Dave about that. Imagine possible solutions to that problem, test them in an appropriate way to that problem, and at least tentatively pick the best of those solutions. And I think if you master that skill in chemistry, that you can learn to do the same thing in literature or in history or in psychology or in physics. So I think of the liberal arts as a kind of methodological education that teaches one how to move towards the truth in almost any discipline.
Thank you.
There is one difficult thing about being third and probably fourth also. No, I think that's an excellent insight. I'll take a slightly different tact in that it was my experience that when that question was asked me, it was very often by a parent who was bringing a student to the university, or maybe a student who was considering going here. And they were concerned about the earning power of the graduate when the graduate left the campus. And I think that one of the things that, in addition to certainly the comments that both my colleagues have made, that one of the things that is perhaps the most valuable to our graduates is the fact that they have a background and an understanding where they can go many directions. Now, some of them do have a ready-made slot, a certification or a board exam, and I think that's what many parents are looking for, so that they know that their offspring can move directly into a professional field. But if I won't embarrass the gentleman who sat next to me at the table tonight, we had an interesting discussion about his particular major. He's interested in environmental policy and has combined that with management. And he has the insights that he has gained from history, sociology, anthropology, literature, all of the liberal arts that support analytical thinking and decision-making. So I would just say that we'll turn to our students, turn to our graduates, and they will help us to define to the public and to others, I guess public's pretty inclusive, but to define liberal arts education.
All I could perhaps offer in addition to that is I saw a statistic the other day that 80% of the jobs that young children who are in kindergarten today will apply for don't exist today. And it seems to me that if we're going to prepare young people for a world of that kind of change that comes at that kind of pace, it's the liberal arts which offers such breadth that will permit us to do that. The only other comment I would make relates back again to so many of the students that were here when I was here, who inspired me by their commitment to citizenship. The liberal arts are the single greatest preparation to be good citizens of the world, because you understand diversity, you understand difference, you understand what makes people think the way they do, and you're ready to engage people in a way that a democracy deserves.
Thank you. What wonderful answers, and the examples cited from our students and alums suggest why it was we might have seated all of you with some of our students and our alumni. That there are great civic and intellectual advantages to what we do at UNC Asheville is a given for everyone in this room. But a continuing challenge is to make sure that higher education in North Carolina is affordable and accessible. North Carolina as a state has invested significantly in public higher education, and from another campus in the system, I too am a beneficiary of North Carolina's investment. From your experience, what do you suggest we do today and in the future to enact our commitment that presents that kind of bright future for the sons and daughters of our state? What are the challenges to access and affordability, and what should we do about it?
I'm going to pass on that. I'll come back to me.
Okay.
I'm tempted to check and let it go around the table. But
Starting like a game show up here.
Right.
I guess one somewhat tangential thought that question inspires in me is that I think we have been and need to continue to rethink and broaden dramatically our definition of who the college-going population of Western North Carolina, of North Carolina, and of the United States is and should be. Most of us went to college in an era when most of our colleagues in our colleges were probably white, middle class, often the children of college-educated people, and the demographics of our nation and of our city have changed dramatically since that era. And I think colleges and universities, including this one, need to really redefine who they're there for and what that means in terms of the whole panoply of the programs they offer and how they offer them.
Thank you.
Well, I think UNCA should feel good about many of the things that we are already doing. I read about the Burris Wellcome grant and the idea of sending faculty members into public schools to talk about math and science, to try to encourage bright students to prepare to enter into the university, I thought was a real step in the right direction. UNCA has had good relationships and made good contributions through education, our teacher preparation, for a number of years. And I think one of the big challenges is helping very, very young people get ready to go to an institution like UNCA. Financial funding for the students' education is another big challenge. So I think that those two things would be the things that I would think would be most critical. The other one that I would mention is that because of the nature of this institution and the relationship between faculty members and students, many of our students are encouraged to go on into graduate schools so that they end up with doctoral preparation themselves and can contribute to the teaching of students in the future. And that is an extremely important task and something that we should feel very good about.
Thank you.
North Carolina has been the model again for the nation. I remember when I arrived here, North Carolina was going into one of its worst fiscal crises in the last 30 years. It seems like every time I go to a college, it goes into a fiscal crisis. And just about the time it comes out of it, I seem to move on. But North Carolina, the Board of Governors, boards of trustees, legislature, governors, stayed true to young people. And you should be very proud. And across this country, I can tell you, people look at North Carolina and envy it. The only point I would add to the comments of my colleagues is that I think the issue of access, sometimes we forget the importance of giving young people sight lines to their future and sight lines to college. And the more that we can do as campus and community to get young people on college campuses early in their lives and allow them the opportunity to see the college as something that is an opportunity for them, I think we're all the better for it.
Thank you.
I would have two comments now that I've had a chance to think. First of all, I would say we need to highlight the public liberal arts college and keep our public undergraduate institutions small enough that it forces our students into multiple learning opportunities. Secondly, I think we need to give support to our community and technical college system so that we can have the plumbers and the carpenters and those other individuals in our society so that we at the liberal arts institutions are not pushed into becoming something that will not serve society as well as we're serving it.
Thank you. Thank you. One final question for this distinguished group. from your experience, what would you change about our university? This is what I call the magic wand question. You remember when you were in the office and you kept looking around for that magic wand and there wasn't one? Well, tonight, you get it. From your experience, what would you change about UNC Asheville?
That's easy coming from Wake Forest. I would get a $1 billion endowment.
Yes, sir.
I think if I could wave my magic wand, I would try to create an opportunity for every single undergraduate student at UNCA to have a significant experience abroad, and for most of them to be in countries like China, India, and Brazil that are going to be the superstars of the 22nd century.
Thank you.
I think I'll pass. I'll come back, perhaps.
I probably, when I sat in the chair that Chancellor Ponder now occupies, I could think of a lot of things. Looking back on it tonight, especially as that guy's looking at me from across the room, I can't think of anything I'd change about UNC Asheville except to give every opportunity to more young people to enjoy the experience of this campus.
Well, one reason I passed is that I couldn't think of anything.
There we go, Patsy.
I think more funding would be well used, because I think that this institution has the ability to do things very creatively, and that when you have the support to use that creativity, that sort of the sky's the limit. There's no telling where we can go. So always more money, but those well said.
Well, instead of the magic wand, what I would like is to be able to call on the very best ideas of the brilliant chancellors who have served this university. I want to express my appreciation, and on your behalf, yours, for their joining us this evening, for sharing their opinions, wisdom about some of the important questions that our university and beyond our university faces. It is now my honor to take my place with this group tonight.
Does that mean you're resigning?
Wow, what an evening. I can't let the magic wand question go by without reminding you that I am chairman of the UNCA Foundation, and we do need more money. And please introduce your friends and family. And preaching to the choir here, but we could use your help. We've got, I challenged the foundation board not long ago to develop a BHAG. I don't know if you know what a BHAG is. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. But we've got some things we want to do, and we need your help. So the second observation I'll make tonight is that Ann is great at asking questions, isn't she? She may be smarter than anybody else up here. As we bring this evening to a close, as we celebrate this distinguished leadership here, I invite you to join with me in raising your champagne flute. Stand. Incidentally, after we toast, you may take this home with you tonight as a memory of this great event. Okay. On behalf of all members of boards and councils who have enjoyed the experience of serving this great university, I offer a toast to the decades of leadership representing on our stage and in our audience this evening, as well as the future of this university under the inspired leadership of Ann Ponder.
You're here. You're here.
Thank you and good evening.